Welcome everyone to the Curry Awards, where I honor great things and reward them with delicious acknowledgement. Today I'm going to be looking at the best storytelling in video games. Which games take best advantage of their interactive medium? Keep in mind that this is anything but professional, and I definitely haven't played every game out there, so there are bound to be great games that I've missed. But without further ado, let's get started. Number 5. Bastion. Bastion made a big splash when it was released, in large part due to how the story was told, exclusively via seemingly endless bits of narration. Being a ton of fun and employing one of the most enjoyable voice actors out there didn't hurt, but Supergiant Games' decision to tell their story through event-triggered narration via a seemingly omniscient diegetic character allowed a beautiful story to be told without ever putting the gamepad down for a cutscene, and made room for choice and divergence in the plot. Number 4. The Stanley Parable. A major player in the up-and-coming walk-around genre of games, the Stanley Parable is an experiment in the roles of the designer and of the player, told through an omniscient narrator that the player is allowed to simply disobey. But is your disobedience truly disobedient, or is it simply an illusion by the developers? Well, that's for you to decide. I haven't actually had a chance to play this game since I don't have a Windows PC, but I have seen it played and I am impatiently waiting for a more multi-platform release just so that I can perform my own complete analysis on it. Number 3. Dark Souls. Surprisingly, Dark Souls has become a major hit in the West despite being so similar to Monster Hunter, which has historically flopped. Aside from the general tone of the game, I like to attribute its popularity to the storytelling in the game. In such a bizarre world, players are left constantly wondering why they're doing what they're doing, what consequences their actions will have, and how the world became the way that it is. Interestingly enough, the only way to answer these questions is through reading item descriptions, placing the player in the role of a historian, examining primary sources and linking together information on their own. The only question is how trustworthy the character that creates the descriptions is, and for that matter, who it is. Number 2. The Zero Escape series, which includes 999 and Virtue's Last Reward. It may seem unfair to put visual novels in this category, but it really isn't. What makes the storytelling in this series so great is how, despite being ultimately linear like a novel, the player is constantly put into an unsettling situation that gets flipped on its head via interaction. At first unnoticeable, the player is actually a character in these stories, in addition to the character that he or she is playing, something that is even made somewhat explicit at the end of Virtue's Last Reward. The way that the player is incorporated into these stories is something that can happen in no other medium, and keeps the player off their guard in the best way possible. And number 1, Journey. Journey is a game that I can seemingly never give enough praise to. Aside from a few minor cutscenes that serve to set the scene and likely hide loading assets or finding a partner to play with, the story is entirely told through player action. It's an entirely linear experience, but it hardly feels that way. Your journey with your new comrade elicits such an emotional response and such a strong bond that cannot be replicated without player interaction. Journey is truly the pinnacle of video game storytelling, finally making a real argument for games as an important and individual narrative medium. Thank you everyone for watching. Like I said before, it's unreasonable to expect me to have played every game out there, so if you have any recommendations for video game storytelling, let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to try it out, let you know why it wasn't chosen, or even discuss it with you. As usual, the full transcript for this episode is up on my blog, which can be found in the description of this video, and if you want to get in touch with me, I'm more likely to respond via Twitter, which is also in the description. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.